Hi everyone, Alex Holland here. I'm here to talk about some class adjustments that have happened at MEPA since the last season and hopefully clear up any confusion we have about them. I'm going to go through, there's 4 classes that have been adjusted this year, and so I'm going to go through each one of them with some descriptions and some information, and hopefully this will help you register for the correct class for the season. The first class I'll be talking about today is the novice class. This is an introductory class to help newer groups and new instructors grow. And the most important part about this class is that it's about training. It's about training your kids at very basic skills so they start to have an idea about what a color guard show is and how it's put together. These groups maybe don't have a tarp, you maybe don't have costuming, you maybe don't have access to a lot of gym time, you're stuck in a hallway or a band room or something like that, and you're still essentially a developing program. The idea behind this class, being that it's about training, is that hopefully groups, as they develop and as they're learning, can compete, but in a class with people with similar skill sets to them. So you won't see any difficult ensemble skills. You won't see a ton of body underneath equipment. It's going to be very limited. The drill that you're doing in the staging is very, very simple and clear. It's not a lot of drill sets. It's not a lot of layered things. It's not a lot of staggered step-offs. Like it's very clear and simple. Flag and weapon tosses are very basic. So you may see maybe the weapons are working on throwing a good single. Maybe we throw a double together. We're catching with 2 hands. We're spinning our flags primarily with 2 hands on the equipment. We're not really tossing anything very high from a flag standpoint. We're throwing maybe a prayer toss. We're throwing maybe a flat toss. We're maybe throwing a very small pop toss. Again, just building strength and building confidence. This should not be the place to be showing off skills that we can do. The equipment is also not being spun very quickly. There's not a lot for speed changes. There's not a lot of velocity. Again, it's about training, so we're keeping things very basic in this class. This is a non-WGI class, and so we've created a set of judges sheets for this class that you can find on our website. There is a rule in this class that you can only be here for a maximum of 2 years, and then you will be automatically reclassified to Regional A class and move on. Because again, the idea behind this class is that it's introductory and it's a good place to start. The intention of this class is not for any groups to really stay here for very long. We want you to progress through and we want you to improve. So we will be reviewing these groups just like we do any other groups. There are point thresholds available in the rules that we go off of that sends the videos to us. We review the groups and we make a decision based on our criteria if the group is in the correct class or not. And again, this is just to maintain a really safe competitive environment for these groups who are brand new and developing. The second class I want to talk to you about is Scholastic Regional A. This class is not changing at all from how it functioned previously. So this is a WGI recognized class. There are judges sheets through WGI that we use, and this class is going to function the same as usual. So it's a beginning class, still focused primarily on training, of course, but where some design elements will be present. So some or most groups will have tarps, there may be costuming involved, there may be some props involved, though these are not required to be competitively successful, of course, but you're able to make some more of those choices in this class and get rewarded for it. And again, we want groups competing with similar skill sets. So in Scholastic Regional A class, we may start to see weapons throwing doubles and triples instead. We may see flags doing more beginning tosses with a little bit of height to them. So maybe we're seeing a successful pop toss. Maybe we're seeing a J toss. Maybe we're seeing a silk toss of some sort. Maybe there are still flat tosses. Maybe we start to see a 45 toss, a very basic one thrown in this class. Those are some things that you may start to see. The training is still extremely important, but within that, the members may have some more strength and they may be able to move at a higher velocity with their equipment, and there may be some beginning speed changes kind of starting, some slower parts, some faster parts. Most importantly in the skill set though, in this class we start to see layering of body with equipment more often. So we don't see body, equipment, and form at the same time until the class above this, but in this class we may be holding and we may do a flag toss with a little arm underneath it. Or maybe we're lifting our flag up to this angle and we lift up into an arabesque at the same time. Or there's a little part where I'm gonna like chugga side to side with my weapon before I get set and toss. But it's kind of 2 elements at a time. We're not doing the 3rd element just yet in this class. And lastly, we will be reviewing groups in this class for reclassification up to Scholastic A if they hit those point thresholds that are again available to you in the rules. The 3rd class I want to talk to you about is Scholastic A. And this is a class for beginning to intermediate groups who typically do not participate in WGI events. If a group goes to 1 regional, if you'd like to dip your toes into WGI and try it, you can still stay in this class, but when you go to multiple WGI events or championships, you must be a National A class instead. Training is still very important to this class. That's always going to be a focus, but design elements can start to elevate the show. So most groups will have tarps and costuming. Drill design can be more layered and complex. We can have more staggered step-offs. We can do A-B parts. We can create different stages at different times. We are moving around the floor maybe a little more quickly. It can be a little bit more complicated here. And the show's concept may have a little bit more depth to it, so it's maybe just a little bit more of a thought-out show, a thought-out, fully fledged idea, versus maybe in lower classes it's a very, very simple, singular concept. Maybe there's a bit of a story that's being told now, or maybe there's a journey you're taking me on through your show. Skill sets for this class, maybe the weapons are working on throwing triples and quads together, maybe we're catching at different angles, we're also layering body underneath the equipment. Maybe flags are throwing higher tosses, we're seeing 45 tosses, we're seeing body layered underneath the flag equipment as well. Choreography overall is more layered with body throughout the whole show. And finally, in this class, we start to see the use of form, body, and equipment. So this is very important to this class. We start to see 3 elements happening at the same time. I mentioned earlier that in Regional A class, there may only be 2 elements present, just body and equipment, just equipment and drill, just body and drill. In Scholastic A class, we start to see all 3. And so throughout the show, you're going to get a lot of points if you're doing body and equipment and you're moving as a group and it's happening cleanly. So we want to see you start to move around, do body, combine all of these skills together. And this is a WGI recognized class, so we will be using the WGI Scholastic A sheets for this. Those are available on the website to you. And last up, we have the National A class. And this is a new class, so it's a higher level class for beginning to intermediate groups who participate in more than 1 WGI event. So these are for the groups that want to be competitive on a national level. If you're going to regionals, if you're going to championships, if you typically do things like that, this is where you belong. This class is for groups who want to compete at that national level, so the skill sets that go along with it and the design choices that go along with it should align with the National Scholastic A class at WGI events. And lastly, this is a non-WGI class technically, so we will be using the Scholastic A class sheets to judge this class. As always, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'll put my email here. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I'm happy to watch any videos you may have of your group. I'm here as a resource to you, so please tap into me if you have questions or if you need help. I would love to help out as many people as possible.